Okay, now that everybody's sufficiently pumped up by the Madison Rising intro music, welcome back to Student of the Gun Radio. I am still your host, Professor Paul Markle, and I'm still in the Glass Case of Emotion Studios. And in addition to that, Jared's over there on the other side. He's working on the board, doing his thing. Fading music. Music fading. We hope that you guys enjoyed yesterday's show and that you took an opportunity to go to the show notes and read the article from Buzz Poe about the travesty that is happening in Glendale, Arizona. And it seems to be all too common. I don't want to get into it today, but Jared's going to make sure that he follows up with Mr. Bailey and keeps you guys up to breast as to what's going on with that. So, what do you want to say before we get into it there, kid?
I just want to say that I hope everybody is supporting... Fartfanoogan. I hope everybody is supporting Mr. Bailey with the GoFundMe account that's in the BuzzPo. I put a link to it in the Student of the Gun Radio show notes. It's at studentofthegunradio.com. And if you go to studentofthegunradio.com, you can get those notes in addition to show notes from episode 001, which was 144 episodes ago.
Really?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot. That's a lot of stuff.
And it's actually, I think right now we have over 200 episodes on the website because we did part 1, part 2, part 3 for 75 episodes or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
It was crazy. I was looking at it the other day. I was like, wow, we have a ton of content on there.
Got a lot of material out there. A lot for you to catch up on. So you could do like Netflix. You could seriously binge listen to Student of the Gun Radio if you felt like it.
Yep.
If that was your desire. But our desire is to talk about public school psychological terror. We haven't talked about that in a while. But this half hour of Student of the Gun is brought to you by whom? Well, it's brought to you by Brownells at brownells.com. If you own a gun, Brownells has something for you. And Velocity Triggers, designed for precision. If you guys have a black rifle, if you want to hunt, you want to do precision shooting, you want to do competition, anything that will require a precise trigger, you go to velocitytriggers.com, check those guys out. And it's so super simple. It's super simple. You can do it at your own workbench or at your own kitchen table. Just follow the directions. They've got YouTube how to install videos. Don't be afraid. It's okay. We'll help you through it.
I'm trembling over here.
I know. All right. We haven't played this theme song in a while. Have we, Jared? No. When's the last time we had a public school psychological terror update?
I'm kind of sad that we have one.
They backed off a little bit, but and for most of the nation, they've been going through the spring break now because we know that we don't have the Easter holiday anymore because we can't talk about Easter in schools. So they have spring break. Even elementary schools have spring break, which is ridiculous, but whatever. So, let's go ahead and bump it in, and we're going to talk about this.
When grew up and went to school, there were certain teachers who let the children in weak.
And because I know that some of you are still a little bit wet behind the ears and aren't quite as long in the tooth as I am, when we started using that, someone wrote in, they're like, what's that song, man? That's the band is Pink Floyd, and the song is Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2 from The Wall. So you're welcome. And thank you. The story comes to us from ArmyTimes.com. And headline, Suspension Threat, Outcry Over Boy's Military Haircut. Okay. A 7-year-old's high and tight haircut meant to honor his soldier stepbrother earned him the threat of suspension from an elementary school named for a Medal of Honor recipient. Isn't that thick irony? And the fallout from the incident has led to a Tennessee school district to increase security measures. Now, what? All right, let's continue. Adam Stinnett went to Bobby Ray Memorial Elementary School in McMinnville, about 90-minute drive southeast of Nashville, on March 9th, supporting his new hairdo. His mother, Amy Stinnett, said he'd requested a high and tight to be more like Specialist Justin Bloodworth, his active duty stepbrother. Okay, rock on. Well, Adam was written up. Okay, this kid's 7. We're talking about a 7-year-old child. That would be first grade, maybe second grade. Okay, first, second grade. Was written up by the principal, who thought the haircut was against school policies banning, quote, mohawk and other extreme cuts. There's a picture of this little kid here.
That doesn't look anything like a mohawk.
No, it's a high and tight. It's a high and tight haircut. If you guys don't know what a high and tight haircut is, look it up.
So this principal has 0 other issues to worry about.
Yeah,
he had to harass this kid for his hair.
Yeah, so Amy Stinnett disagreed. Adam went back to school Tuesday with the same haircut after his mother received an email from the principal and stopped by for a face-to-face chat. It was made clear that Adam's hairstyle would have to be changed before he returned to school. With so much hair already gone, his mother had few other options. So she said, I did shave his head. With no hair, he looks sick all the time. The incident upset Adam. Oh, well, of course. Who wants to follow Bloodworth's path. So he looks up to his big brother, right? His big brother's in the Army. He looks up to him. He tells his mommy that he wants a haircut just like his big brother. So his mommy gives him a high and tight haircut like his big brother. And the Nazis at this public school decide that his military-style haircut is extreme.
Was he acting? Was he being a trouble to the class? Was he upsetting?
Apparently it was just his appearance.
So whatever.
All right, this is it continues. They crushed my son's dreams, she said, of the school officials. They made him feel upset. They broke his little heart, and he doesn't deserve that. No 7-year-old deserves to be bullied by school administrators. And let's face facts. Let's be honest with each other. This is yet another incident of public school psychological terrorism. The people who work for your public schools who feel like they are now part of the ruling class and they are going to domineer over your children and you'd better do what they say. Whew. Wow. You want to continue, Jared? Let's figure out why the school thinks that they need to up their security now. Stinnett contacted the local newspaper. A Sunday article in the Southern Standard gained traction on Facebook, as did a later piece from Fox TV affiliate. All right, Stinnett said she's been contacted by regional and national news outlets about the story. Okay. Some of these outlets contacted Warren County Board of Education, which put out a news release Wednesday in response to the Southern Standard article saying that neither Bobby Ray Elementary nor any school in Warren County prohibits military-style haircuts. Well, they might want to hip their principal to that. I love this backpedaling, don't you, Jared? Every time they get caught.
Decisions on appropriate haircuts are made on a school-by-school basis. So how did the board say that they don't prohibit military haircuts?
Well, this is butt covering. This is political butt covering. It's it's not us. We're not responsible. So, well, actually, you are. If you are the school board, and if you are on the school board, you are in charge of what happens at the schools. You can't punt and say, we're not responsible. We're not in charge. Yes, you are. That's like the captain saying that what the private did in his platoon, it wasn't his fault. Because the sergeants, take care of things on a case-by-case basis. No, if it happens in your unit, you are responsible. And if you're on the school board and something happens in one of your schools, you are ultimately responsible for that. Oh, jeez. Well, you want to continue? I want to know why they think. Let's continue about the whole why they think that they need extra security. Blah 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 blah. It says decisions on school by school. The statement says adding the district officials would not discuss Adams' case. This hasn't stopped people from asking, nor has it kept them from sharing their thoughts via social media. The school district has taken down its Facebook page after a deluge of comments. Well, okay, said Bobby Cox, the district director of schools. He said that the messages were not necessarily threatening, but added to an incident that had caused, all right, it says, he said the messages were, quote, not necessarily threatening, but added to an incident that had caused the district great stress.
Oh, poor Bobby.
So what this douche nozzle is telling us is that this little 7-year-old kid and his haircut caused great stress to the district. So the adults are under great stress because of this scrutiny. He also said more security has been added to the elementary school.
Why?
What? These people are ridiculous.
Who's paying for that?
Oh, you are. Well, the people of the district are paying for it. It's been portrayed that we are anti-military and anti-patriot. We're not, Cox told the Army Times.
Is the principal still working there?
I'm just sorry that that's the way it's been portrayed. See that? I'm not sorry for what happened. I'm not sorry for threatening a 7-year-old or a 7-year-old's mother. I'm not sorry for any. I'm sorry that this is the way it's been portrayed. In other words, what have we told you ad nauseum? After they get caught and the spotlight shines on them, not only do they scurry for the corners like roaches, but then they apologize for the misconception. What do they always say, Jared? What do they always say after they get caught and the news crews descend on them? Oh, it was just a misunderstanding.
Yeah, it was another misunderstanding.
It was just a misunderstanding.
And this one says, Cox said the haircut policy is under review and that he believes a more complete definition of what styles are acceptable will help eliminate future problems. How about having a principal that has common sense?
Yeah, how about just having a little bit of sense?
Is it not a principal of a school that is teaching children?
How about having an adult that's not a freaking power-mad Nazi that doesn't feel they need to, Here's the deal, folks. All right, Jared, go through this and find out the freaking name of the principal. Did they hide the name of the principal in the story, or they failed to mention it?
I don't know. I'll look.
Yeah, the hospital, the school is named after Navy Hospital Corpsman, Second Class Robert Bobby Ray, David Robert Bobby Ray, who earned the Medal of Honor posthumously for his actions with the Marine Corps unit in 1969 Battle of An Ho, Vietnam. Ray suffered severe wounds while treating members of his unit, but continued to administer aid according to the award citation. At one point, killing an enemy attacker. And finally threw his body onto a patient to save him from a grenade blast. The school's gymnasium bears the name of Specialist Jeremy L. Brown, who died in Afghanistan in 2010 when his unit was attacked by small arms fire.
So maybe this dude should think about getting a different principal for this.
Yeah. You guys, you ladies and gentlemen, students of the gun, you all, folks out there in the audience, do you like the way they slime and slither and they dodge the incident? Here's the deal. You've got a bunch of the public schools in the United States of America. I don't care what the name of the school is, and I don't care where it happens to be. They're populated by a bunch of bullies and a bunch of liberal Nazis who feel that it is their duty and their charter to indoctrinate your children, and if your children don't accept it, to bully your children, to browbeat your children into liberal submission. Tell me I'm wrong. Write me a letter and tell me I'm wrong. Oh, this is just one single isolated incident. Yeah, that's right. This is just one of 10,000 isolated incidents. And you're like, well, what do you want me to do, Paul? Well, number one. That reminds me. We got an email, Jared, from one of our fans this week. And in that, they took their child for kindergarten screening or pre-kindergarten enrollment, right? And they gave them a questionnaire. And the questionnaire asked all these personal questions about the home life living situation. I can't even imagine when I was a kid them asking my parents about the home life living situation and who disciplines the child and who doesn't, and do you always agree about it? But here's the thing that triggered our fan. And they actually sent us a cell phone picture of the form. And it says, my child likes to play with, and then it had a bunch of little blocks for you to fill out. And it said, trucks, toys, dolls, whatever. And then it said guns, Legos, spaceman, what have you.
Monty Hills is the name of the principal. And if you guys feel like contacting her with suggestions or concerns...
You think it's a her?
Oh, it is. It's Mrs. Monty Hills.
Oh.
There you go.
Ding, 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 ding.
Here we go.
This is my shocked face.
If you want to contact her, and it says, please contact me with your suggestions and concerns at 931-473-7006 or HILLISM at K12TN.net. And she says, please contact me with your suggestions or concerns. So she wants to hear from you.
Nice. And so, yeah, what do you think about that kindergarten thing, Jared? The form that wants to know if your kids play with guns.
Oh, they said I was searching over here while you were telling that story.
You were often, yeah.
None of the news stories said the chick's name, so I had to find the school's website.
They hid it well. That's good for them. Good for them for hiding the actual culprit, the actual person that is responsible for this whole dealio, this whole blow up. And they're like, oh, we're not gonna mention that person's name.
Actually, it's the school board that's responsible.
Yeah, the school board,
because they appoint the principals. Or they elect the principals or whatever they do. I don't know what they do nowadays.
They hire them. But anyway, one of our fans took their kid to kindergarten, and they wanted to know this really personally invasive questionnaire.
Like to get the kid enrolled?
Yeah. Oh. And it said,
that doesn't surprise me.
Who disciplines the child? Da 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 da. And it says, my child likes to play with, and then it had a bunch of blocks. And it said Legos, trucks, dolls, blah blah blah, and then it said guns. Mm. So,
children play with guns now, apparently.
Well. I played with guns when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Not real guns, toy guns. Dude, you would not find me on a summer day at any time from age 4 to whatever without a toy gun.
Yeah.
Until I was able to get my hands on a real BB gun and then a real .22. I was always I made them out of sticks and lumber and pipes and what have you. So anyway, let's move on to some let's talk about the blackout. It's Tuesday, and we released this. I sent out an email, and if you guys don't get the Student of the Gun emails, shame on you. But if you do, open it and read it. If you don't, you can go to studentofthegun.com, put in your first name, your email address, and you can get on the list, and you can get all that good stuff that we provide you with. But essentially, I proposed April 19th, 2015 as a 24-hour blackout day. Now, obviously, if you are a student of history and if you're a student of the gun, you should know this. What happened on April 19th, 1775? Well, it was the official beginning of the American Revolutionary War, because that was the whole Lexington and Concord and, Paul Revere's Ride and so forth.
The beginning of that war started with like a dinner where they sat both sides down and they tried to talk it out, right?
No.
Oh. Okay.
No, well, and the ironic thing about that incident is this: number one, it wasn't the first time. This was not the first time that the British, the regulars, had sailed out or had attempted to seize powder and arms. This is actually the third time that had happened. The first two didn't go off very well. One was a complete failure, and another one they were able to get a little bit, but they had some pushback, and so they left. So they were super secretive about the Lexington and Concord expedition. But it got out anyway. And obviously, as we know, Revere, and not only Paul Revere, but several other men rode throughout the countryside warning him. But, and before we get into the 24-hour blackout, I want you guys to consider this. 1775, you know anything about your history, was not the beginning of the bad feelings between the British citizens of the 13 colonies and
that was like
Great
10
Britain.
Years coming.
Yeah, there was the coercive acts, the stamp acts. They had the Boston Massacre was in 1770, 5 full years ahead of this. So there was a lot leading up to this, many, many years, at least 10 full years of bad feelings, of imposed taxes, and then the rescinding of the taxes, and then new taxes, and then so forth, and then the quartering of troops, where they sent all the troops to Boston to make people, and where they decided they were going to send people who were charged with crimes to England to be tried instead of being tried in the colonies, and so forth. But what was different about this day? What was different about that day was the British soldiers, and at the time, the people who lived in the colonies considered themselves to be sovereign British citizens. They didn't consider themselves to be Americans. They considered themselves to have the same rights as any British citizen who, even if they lived in London or Herefordshire or Staffordshire or Yorkshire or whatever shire. They considered themselves that they had the same natural God-given rights as anyone else, and that their rights were being violated. So the British are coming thing it's quaint colloquialism, but it didn't actually happen. It would have been stupid for Revere would not have run through the countryside screaming the British are coming, because the people would have been like, but we're British. They would have said the regulars are coming, or the redcoats, or something like that. Anyway, you want to say something?
I was going to ask you if you ever heard of the movie Snowpiercer.
No.
I watched it last night, and I came in the middle of it, or not. I didn't catch the beginning, so I didn't really get the whole premise of the movie. But Alex told me there was something where the liberals were trying to prevent global warming, so they released this cooling stuff into the atmosphere, and it ended up freezing everything. Mm-hmm. And everybody died except for the people that were on this train. And,
okay. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, on the train they had the people in the back were the peasants, and they didn't get taken care of. They fed them this protein bar or whatever, but you didn't know. Well, I don't want to ruin it for you. So,
okay.
Basically, watch this movie. It's kind of like it's what would happen in real life when people that are not really. When people are being oppressed and they realize that they don't have to be oppressed and they can fight back, and that's what happens.
Well, the British soldiers, the British regulars, marched out of Boston. So they crossed. You guys know that they went one if by land, two if by sea. They went by sea. They crossed the bay and they got out and they marched and so forth. They weren't out to collect taxes. They didn't march through the countryside through the Massachusetts countryside in an effort to collect taxes. And they didn't have warrants for wanted criminals or felons or murderers or rapists. What they were out looking for arms and powder and, quote, military stores, or stores of military value. That'd be like bulk food sources. And they were also supposed to arrest the leaders of the resistance, or the leaders who had spoken out against the crown. They're supposed to take them into custody. And that is a pretty big deal, because up to that point, even though we had the Boston Tea Party and they had the Boston Massacre, which you really need to study about, even though all those things had happened, they had the Coercive Acts, the Stamp Acts, and so forth, the Townshend Acts, even though those things were going on, they were still not engaged in an active shooting war, or there hadn't been real gunfire exchanged between one side or the other. And it wasn't until they decided they were going to take the colonists' guns and arms and powder from them that the shooting occurred. Now, that is why I chose April 19th. Now, this April 19th is going to be 240 years since that happened. And the 24-hour blackout is essentially this. Think of it like a digital fast. Those of you of faith probably know of the practice of fasting. And it is to deprive yourself of food in an effort to basically force yourself to consider and think. And it's a little bit of self-imposed suffering. Well, what I want you guys to do on April 19th is I want you to stay home. That's right. Gather your family together at your home, and I want you to stay there. Don't go out to the store. Don't go out to restaurants. Don't go out anywhere. Just stay home. Turn off the internet. Gather up all the phones. Turn them off. Put them in a box. Unless you're a surgeon on call and you have to be available 24 hours a day, the world can live without talking to you for one day. All right? phones, internet, television, all the electronic gadgets and distractions. Turn them all off. And take that time, take one full day to talk to your family. Yeah, actually talk to them. Talk to each other. Use that time to consider your individual and your household preparedness. If you woke up in the morning, if you went to bed and there was an earthquake, if you went to bed and there was a hurricane, a tornado, something, and you woke up in the morning and you couldn't go to the store, you just were not able to go to the store for a full day, for 2 days, for 3 days, for a week, would you be okay? Do you have enough to get by? Or would you be killing the cat, you know? Are you going to have to eat the cat on the second day because everyone's starving because all you have is Taco Bell sauce packets and half a jar of pickles? Take that opportunity to take stock, do an inventory. And if you're in Hurricane Alley like we are, we live in a hurricane zone, and probably I would say probably 25% of the people that are listening to this show live in an area that is in hurricane zone. Take that opportunity to look at your storm cupboard. What's in your storm cupboard? What should be in it? What did you use up and didn't replace over the last year? Go out, dude. If it's a nice day, go outside and start doing that yard work that you've been, putting off. Go outside with your family. And I'm not telling you to starve yourselves. Cook out, grill, eat at home. Sit down as a family and eat a meal together. Read a book. But I'm challenging you to do one day without checking email, one day without using your phone, one day without, watching television or going on the internet, just one single day. And if you can't do that, if you cannot muster the discipline to go one full day without your phone or the internet, how are you a prepper? How are you a patriot? How are you, a lot of people out there post things online and they have forums and all this, and I do this and I'll blah, 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 blah. But you don't have the discipline to go one day without looking at your phone? Well, but I know it's a convenience. It's called a fast. Discipline your body. And, if your family is going to cry and whine and moan about the thought of going one full day without television or the internet or looking at their phones, let me tell you what, that's weak. Is that harsh, Jared? Am I being harsh?
No. We had people that were like, well, I would rather be online watching how-to videos or something. I'm like, it's one day. Do it. One day.
Try not to miss the whole point of the exercise.
Yeah. But anyway, so are you done with that thought? Because
no.
Have you heard about the new passage of
the new iPhone?
No. Have you heard about the new passage of the bills in Mississippi, the pro Second Amendment bills? Because I just got a message. It's a statement. It's Representative Andy Gibson's statement on passage of SB 2394 and SB 2619.
Go ahead and hit me to it.
Do you want me? Well, I was just going to read the whole thing. Do you want to talk about that right now, or do you want to wait till after that we record?
No, let's go ahead and go after, because we got one more story.
Okay.
That I want to talk about, and it's school related.
Yeah, I would definitely want to talk about this stuff on the radio because we were compared to slave states. Mm-hmm. Somebody compared the state of Mississippi to slave states the other day, saying that we're preaching, or we're hypocrites because our legislators are as bad as the slave states when it comes to, well, here we go. When we talk about this, the passing of these bills, well, we're going to go ahead and smash that accusation.
Okay. Well, why don't we do that tomorrow? Why don't we do that on Wednesday?
All right, we'll do that tomorrow.
Okay. All right. The next story is brought to you, or the next half hour, or the final segment of Student of the Gun is brought to you by SWAT Fuel.
It's the SWAT Fuel countdown.
Really?
What? I didn't even have to play the song.
Really?
What?
Okay. The final segment of Student of the Gun today is brought to you by SWAT Fuel. special weapons and tactics for the body. Check them out at swatfuel.com. And XS Sights, the fastest sights in any light. Check those guys out at xssights.com. It's that simple. All right, the next story comes to us from Texas, and whenever we have a Texas story, we like to use the special Texas update theme. All right, this story comes to us from Breitbart.com. And the title is, Texas GOP Lawmaker Introduces Bill Abolishing Gun-Free Zones. What? That's crazy talk. But we'll all die if we don't have those plastic signs.
GOP stands for Guns on People, right?
Guns on People. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool.
On March 24th, Texas State Representative Drew Springer, Republican Munster, introduced legislation to abolish gun-free zones throughout the state of Texas. Springer argued that doing so would not only protect but also advance the rights of Texas's approximately 826,000 concealed carry license holders. Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. According to the Dallas Morning News, Springer pointed out that his bill would only impact responsible law-abiding citizens, as they are the only ones who now refrain from carrying guns in gun-free zones.
This guy gets it.
Wow. You mean that gun-free zones only affect good people, and that criminals and douchebags and drug dealers and scumballs, that they're just going to do it anyway? What? That's crazy talk. But, you want to guess who is opposed to this? Who's afraid? Who's gotten themselves a fright? Someone's got a fright. And of course they'd be from a big city because, well, let's face it. If you live in a large metropolitan area, you probably have a bunch of people with D's behind their names repping you. But State Representative Eric Johnson, Democrat, Dallas, cried foul. He cried foul, saying the removal of gun-free zones would mean law-abiding citizens could carry their guns into hospitals. All right.
This next statement's pretty... It tops what he just said, so go ahead and read it.
All right, so break out the duct tape really quick. He suggested this could lead to a scenario where a victim of gun violence has to enter a hospital where people could openly carry handguns?
Yeah, the sentence is messed up, but...
Yeah, it says... A victim of gun violence has to enter a hospital where people could openly carrying handguns. Okay, that's not good English. But Johnson added, because he wasn't done yet, maybe gun victims, violence victims, don't want to see a waiting room full of people openly carrying guns. So we're worried about their feelings.
I bet if one of those people
did the guns kill them? Did the guns assault them? First of all, Mr. Johnson, your entire premise is based upon not only a fallacy, but a lie. Guns don't commit violence. Human beings do. And they use various accoutrements, hammers, machetes, knives, and also firearms in their effort to commit violence against other humans.
Gun violence victims, though. It's the gun itself.
Yeah,
the gun.
That whole statement is based upon a lie, and quite frankly, and I'm done listening to the lie. I'm not listening to it anymore. Springer said he's open to the possibility of tweaking the bill so that open carry continues to be barred in certain settings. Dude. Here we go again. We're parsing the words between. So it's not whether, and now it's not even whether or not the gun is there. It's whether or not you can see it, because that scares people. Well, riddle me this, Batman. Why are people afraid to see inanimate objects? Jared, got a question for you. Do you believe that Representative Eric Johnson, when he sees somebody in a blue polyester uniform and they have a shiny black leather belt on and they got a Glock 22 in there or a SIG 226 or, maybe a Smith & Wesson M&P, do you think that gives Eric Johnson a fright? Because he sees the gun?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Do you think gun violence victims get all scared and tinkle down their legs when they see someone who's a representative of the state, maybe in a gray wool uniform, a trooper uniform? They see them with their shiny Clarino holsters, that it gives them a fright?
This chick, Molly White, did you see that her chief concern is actually pretty cool? It says her chief concern is not with people, or not with how people react to law-abiding citizens carrying guns for self-defense, but with her colleagues who oppose making it easier for law-abiding citizens to defend themselves.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
What I'm concerned about, she says, is why we would oppose someone's right to carry. Whew. Woo! Wow.
We need more women like that.
Yeah, no kidding. But because it might hurt someone's feelings. And that right there is the denominator. That right there is the dividing line.
They care about feelings instead of safety.
Like, well, we don't really want to address actual statistics, and we don't really want to address what happens in the real world. What we want to address is how it might make someone feel. I don't know. How is it? And I got a question for this douche nozzle here. He's worried about gun violence victims. Why are they victims of, quote, gun violence? Was it because they were unarmed? How many of these, quote, unquote, gun violence victims were armed and fought back? Well, what? You want people to be armed and to fight back against criminals? Yeah, that's what I want. I want good people to be armed and to fight back against bad people. I know that's probably crazy. That never probably came into the mind of Mr. Eric Johnson, Democrat, Dallas. Go ahead and talk.
That's retarded and crazy and insane. And I can't think of any other words that are prohibited. But I don't understand how. It's not really for me to understand, so I'm not even going to say that because I'm tired of trying to understand these people.
$1,000, Mr. Eric Johnson, Democrat, Dallas. Who does he share lineage with? Does he share lineage with George H.W. Bush or Barack Hussein Obama?
I don't really care.
Dudes, let me tell you what. Why is it that people who share lineage with Barack Hussein Obama feel that they must be victims? Why do they embrace victimization? You probably know people like this. You're probably encountered people like this
that do that.
Why do they embrace victimization? I want to be a victim. Is it they want to be a victim so that someone has to give them something?
It's easier to be a victim than it is to
stand up for yourself,
stand up for yourself and fight. Yeah.
Why is it that they embrace this victimization? Oh, I'm a victim of what? Oh, you name it. I'm a victim of it, and you owe me. I don't owe you anything, just so you know, just while we're on the subject. But it's disgusting, and it's offensive. You want to be offended? Be offended by people like Eric Johnson that thinks that you are a helpless peasant, and without his help and the help of his Big D party, you're just going to be floundering. And thank the Lord for him, because if it wasn't for people like Eric Johnson looking out for you, well, you're just such a bumbling moron that you probably couldn't even tie your shoes in the morning. But you need Big Brother looking out for you, because you might be a victim of gun violence and be scared when you see a gun. Really? That's what we are now? We're a nation full of victims? We're a nation full of a bunch of scared little children that can't see a firearm without getting a fright? It's a lie. It's disingenuous, and we need to stop accepting it. And not only do we need to stop accepting it, you need to start calling it out. And apparently, no one in the big media is going to raise their hand and say, "Excuse me, Mr. Johnson, would you like to clarify that statement you just had there?" Because what you're saying is that gun violence, that inanimate objects in and of themselves are violent, and I'd like you to explain to me how an inanimate object in and of itself can be violent, can possess violence. Why doesn't Jared? Look at me over here in this freaking class. Why doesn't anyone, when these idiots make statements like that,
because that would take
raise their hand and say, I'm sorry, Congressman, can you explain to me how an inanimate object, how a firearm can be violent? Go ahead.
It's because, actually, you know what? I think it's the opposite of the death of the editor. Because they have editors that have an agenda to push. We have the death of the reporter, maybe the death of the journalist. Well, maybe they do. Maybe some of these people do say that, but then when the story gets published, it gets taken out. Well, I mean, you'd think that if that were to occur, maybe we should just start going to these media events. Rolling tape. Maybe it's up to us. We need to do it. You want to get... Seriously. You need to, like, put on the plastic press badge and... Why don't we? If nobody else is asking the questions, why don't we just go do it? You know how I know how powerful Amazon is, Jared? I'm going to tell you. Because in Amazon and their powerful cookies, because I pulled up Breitbart.com on my little laptop here, and up in the upper right-hand corner is my book. Which means that they've got serious cookies. Yeah. They've got some serious cookies. They're not. They've got some serious money to pay Google. Yeah, it's some serious SEO cookies there. So I just thought that was funny, because obviously, you know. Is it a Google AdSense ad? It says advertisement. Yeah, ad choices. It might be a retargeting ad specifically from Amazon. But yeah, it says ad choices. Is that Google? Yeah, the Google ad. I don't know, maybe. Well, it says... I'd have to look at it. Amazon.com. Does it have a little blue play and a blue X at the top right? No. Oh, I don't know what it is then. Well, anyway, long story short, listen up, hippies. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Student of the Gun. And if you didn't, go ahead and write to P.O. Box 5014, Boulder, Colorado. Send a self-addressed stamped envelope, and we will send you your money back. Fair enough? Is that fair enough, Jared? Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Yeah, if they didn't like today's show, then we'll refund their money. All right. What are we going to talk about tomorrow? Tomorrow we're going to talk about, is Mississippi a slave state? I don't know, ? And also, it's going to be, tomorrow is Wednesday, so it's going to be Swap Fuel Fitness Talk Day. And maybe Jared will talk to you about how not to get your head split open when you're in the gym. That could be a nice piece of advice. How's your noggin feeling over there? My noggin's feeling actually pretty good. Swelling go down? I don't know. Is it? I can't see myself. It looks like it's going down a little bit. I don't really examine myself. You're still a little swell. I am pretty swell. I'm a pretty swell guy. You're so swell. All right, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, thanks for joining us. And remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be what? A student for life.